It was a crisp autumn afternoon in suburban Dallas, Texas, the kind where the leaves were just starting to turn that golden hue, and the air carried the faint scent of barbecue from neighboring yards. I, Evelyn Thompson, a 65-year-old retired teacher, had just pulled into my driveway after a morning at the local farmer's market. My old Ford pickup was loaded with fresh produced tomatoes, okra, and a couple of pies from the bakery stand. At my age, these little routines were my anchor. Market on Saturdays, church on Sundays, quiet evenings with a good book or reruns of classic westerns on TV. My modest ranch-style home in Plano was my sanctuary. Bought with my late husband George's life insurance after he passed from a heart attack 10 years ago. No mortgage, no fuss, just me, my cat Whiskers, and the peace I'd earned after 35 years, molding young minds in the public school system. I grabbed the grocery bags, balancing them on my hip as I fumbled for my keys. The front door was unlocked. Odd, I thought. I always double-checked. Pushing it open, I stepped into the living room, and there they were. My daughter, Sarah, and her husband, Mike, standing amid a sea of boxes and duffel bags. Sarah was unpacking a lamp onto my coffee table while Mike was plugging in his laptop on my sideboard. Their two kids, little Tommy, 8, and Lily, 5, were sprawled on the floor playing with iPads, oblivious to the intrusion. "Mom?" Sarah said, her voice pitching up in surprise, as if I was the one who shouldn't be there. She straightened her yoga pants and smoothed her blonde bob, that perfect PTA mom look she cultivated. Mike gave a half wave, his beard scruffy from what looked like a rushed move. "What in the world is going on here?" I asked, my voice steady but my heart racing. The bags felt heavier suddenly, like weights pulling me down. I set them on the entry table, not moving further in. Sarah laughed that nervous titter she did when caught. "Oh, Mom, we didn't expect you back so soon. We were going to surprise you well, sort of. Mike lost his job at the tech firm last month, and with the economy the way it is, rents in Austin are insane. We thought we'd crash here for a bit until he finds something new. You have all this space, and the kids love Grandma's house. Crash here." My mind reeled. This wasn't a sleepover. This was an invasion. Boxes labeled kitchen and kids' toys were stacked against my floral wallpaper. My living room, with its cozy recliner and shelves of mystery novels, looked like a storage unit. I glanced at Mike, who avoided my eyes, fiddling with his phone. He'd always been the ambitious type, climbing the ladder in software sales, but layoffs were hitting Texas hard these days. "Did you ask me about this, Sarah? Did either of you think to pick up the phone and see if this was okay?" I crossed my arms, feeling the familiar twinge in my shoulder from years of grading papers. Sarah blinked, her blue eyes wide. "Mom, come on. We're family. You always say family sticks together. Remember when I was in college and you let me move back in after that bad breakup? Or when Uncle Bob stayed 4 months after his flood? It's just temporary, a month or two, tops. Mike's got interviews lined up in Dallas. It'll be fun. The kids can help with yard work. It's fun." The words stung. My home wasn't a hotel or a playground. After George died, I'd turned this place into my haven. No more chaos from raising Sarah as a single mom after her dad left when she was little. I'd worked 2 jobs back then, teaching by day, waitressing nights at the diner. Sacrifices that let her go to UT Austin on scholarships I helped secure. Now, at 65, with arthritis creeping in and Social Security checks just covering basics, I cherished my solitude. Mornings with coffee on the porch, afternoons gardening my rose bushes, evenings volunteering at the library. No demands, no drama. Mike finally spoke up, his voice gruff. "Evelyn, we appreciate this. Really? We'll pull our weight, cook, clean, whatever. It's tough out there with inflation and all." It didn't budge. "Appreciate what? I haven't agreed to anything." The kids looked up now, sensing the tension. Tommy whispered something to Lily, who giggled nervously. Sarah stepped closer, her expression shifting to that pleading look she mastered as a teen. "Mom, please, don't make this a big deal. The eviction notice came yesterday. We had nowhere else. You're retired, living alone in this big house. 3 bedrooms gathering dust. Think of the grandkids, they need stability." There it was, the guilt trip. as if my empty rooms were a waste, my life incomplete without filling it with their crises. I'd heard it before from friends at church. Evelyn, you're so lucky to have space for family. But space didn't mean obligation. I'd raised Sarah to be independent, paid for her wedding, babysat the kids countless times. When was it my turn to say no? I took a deep breath, the scent of my market pies mixing oddly with the musty smell of their boxes. Sarah, Mike packed this up. You can't just move in without asking. We'll talk, but this isn't how family works. Sarah's face hardened. You're serious? After everything. Fine, Mom. Be that way. She started repacking, muttering under her breath. Mike sighed, unplugging his laptop. That was just the beginning. Little did I know this confrontation would unearth decades of unspoken resentments, forcing me to reclaim my life in ways I never imagined. But as they loaded boxes back into their SUV, I felt a spark of boundary forming, solid and unyielding. The sun was dipping low over the Texas horizon, casting long shadows across my driveway as Sarah and Mike loaded the last box into their SUV. The kids were buckled in the back, whining about being hungry. I stood on my porch, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold like a bad rerun of a family drama. Sarah slammed the tailgate, her face flushed with anger. This is unbelievable, Mom. We're homeless because of you. Homeless? They had adoptions friends in Austin, Mike's parents in Houston, even Airbnbs if they budgeted. But no, they'd chosen my house as the free fix. You're nothamless, Sarah. You're adults. Find a motel or call Mike's folks. But you can't barge in here like this. Mike rubbed his temples, looking exhausted. Evelyn, let's talk inside. The neighbors air-watching. I glanced around. Mrs. Jenkins next door was pretending to water her flowers, ears perked. Small-town Plano gossip traveled fast. Fine, come in, but the boxes stay out. We sat at my kitchen debelle, the one George and I bought at a garage sale when Sarah was a baby. Coffee brewed, but no one drank. Sarah started first. Mom, why are y'all being so stubborn? It's the American way. Family helps family. Like during Thera's session when you let me stay after college. That was different. Shu is 22, jobless in a tough market. I gave her 6 months to get on her feet. Now she was 38, married, with a degree in marketing and Mike's engineering background. Sarah, that was help, not entitlement. You asked. You respected my house rules. This is assuming I'm your backup plan. Mike leaned in, Hissel's pitch voice emerging. Look, Evelyn, the tech layoff hit hard. 20,000 jobs gone in Texas alone this year. We're not asking for handouts, just a roof until I land something. I'll mow the lawn, fix that leaky faucet Georgie always talked about. George, bringing him up was low. He'd been the fixer-upper type, always tinkering. But he was gone, and so was my obligation to play eternal host. Mike, I sympathize. Theonomies, rough gas prices, groceries, all up. But my pension is fixed. I can't afford extra mouths, extra utilities. And frankly, I like my quiet life. Sarah scoffed. Quiet. You mean lonely? You rattle around this house since Dad died. We thought you'd love having the grandkids around baking cookies, playing board games like in those Hallmark movies. Lonely. The word cut deep. Yes, nights were silent without Georgia's snores or Sarah's teenagecator. But I'd built contentment. Book club Wednesdays, yoga at the rec center, volunteering at the food bank. It wasn't emptiness. It was choice. It's not loneliness, Sarah. It's peace. After raising you alone, your dad bailed when you were 5. Remember? I earned this. Double shifts at school, Auntie diner. No vacations, no luxuries. Now, you waltz in without a call. Mike nodded. Westhold called. My bad. But Sarah said you'd be cool. Your grandma West's there with open arms. It's always there. That waste problem? I'd conditioned them. Babysitting weekends so they could date night. Loans for their first car. Co-signing their apartment lease. When did help become expect? Sarah's eyes teared. Mom, if we can't stay, the kids sleep in the car. Is that what you want? In America, where hard work's supposed to pay off, but one layoff and we're out. Guilt tugged, but I held firm. No, that's not what I want. But it's not my responsibility to solve. Call the church. They have emergency funds. Or drive to Houston. Asterisk, the days following Sarah's departure were a whirlwind of emotions. My phone blew up texts from Sarah. How could you? Calls from Mike's mom, judging from afar. Even Aunt Rita in Oklahoma chimed in after Sarah posted a vague Facebook status about family betrayal. Plano's gossip mill churned. At church Sunday, whispers followed me to my pew. I sat in my garden, pruning roses, thinking back. George and I met in high school, married young. Sarah came along. Then her dad, my first husband, left for a younger woman. Georgia stepped in, adopted her, gave us stability. But cancer took him too soon. I've poured everything into Sarah. PTA meetings, soccer mom duties, saving for her wedding. Now she saw my home as her inheritance preview. A week later, Sarah called. Mom, the motel is draining our savings. Mike's interview fell through. Please, reconsider. I sighed. Sarah, come over, alone. Let's talk. She arrived with Takut Barbu from Dickie's Brisket, my favorite. We ate on the porch, watching fire fleas. Mom, I'm sorry we didn't ask. But we're desperate. The American dream feels like a scam college debt. No jobs, kids to feed. I empathized. Usahidleen screamed recession fears. Student loans crippling millennials. I get it. But my answer's no. Not because I don't love you, but because Ito. You need to stand on your own, she cried. You're abandoning us. Oh, Remember when I made you get a job at 16? Same thing. She left angry butt seeds were planted. That night I journaled, reflecting on generations of American women like my silent sacrifices for family. From pioneer days to now no more, asterisk Mike showed up unannounced 2 weeks later, tools in hand. Evelyn, let me fix that faucet as a peace offering. I let him in, but watched warily. As he worked, he talked. Sarah's struggling. The kids ask about Grandma. We're in a extended stay, hotel cramped, noisy. Mike, why my house? You have family. He wiped sweat. Pride and convenience. Dallas jobs are here. We sat for beer. Tell me honestly, did you think I'd say no? He shrugged. Sarah said you never do. That hurt. My pattern exposed. We delved deep, his layoffs, their debt, my resentments. I feelist, I admitted. He nodded. Fair. We'll find another way. Progress, but tension lingered. Asterisk, they found a sublet in Dallas suburbs. Moving day, Sarah hugged me stiffly. Thanks for nothing, Mom. Weeks of silence followed. I filled time with hobbies. Joining a senior hiking group, trying Tex-Mex cooking classes. Guilt faded. Freedom bloomed. Thanksgiving approached. First without them. I volunteered at a shelter serving turkey tadhos in need. It reminded me boundaries help everyone grow. A Christmas card arrived. Miss you. Thinking. Healing began. Asterisk. The weeks after that painful Christmas card felt like living inside a slow-motion storm. I, Evelyn Thompson, 66 now. Woke up every morning in my quiet Plano ranch house to the same familiar sounds. The hum of the refrigerator. Whiskers the cat purring at the foot of my bed. And the distant rumble of commuter traffic on the President George Bush Turnpike. But underneath it all was a new sound, a low, constant ache in my chest that I couldn't quite name. It wasn't regret, exactly. It wasn't guilt either, though both tried to sneak in wearing different disguises. It was the sound of something shifting inside me, like tectonic plates grinding after decades of staying perfectly still. I kept busy. That's what Texas women do. We garden, we volunteer, we bake for church potlucks, we smile through everything. So I threw myself into routine with a ferocity that surprised. Even me, Monday mornings were fourth senior yoga class at the Plano Community Center. I'd roll out my purple matinecks to Marlene and Betty, two widows who'd become my closest friends since George passed. We'd stretch and breathe and laugh about our creaky knees, while Levy instructor a perky 30-something named Kayla talked about releasing what no longer serves us. I always rolled my eyes at that phrase, but lately it had started to stick. After yoga, I'd drive Tough Plano Food Pantry to sort donations. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was sorting canned goods for families in crisis, while my own daughter was sleeping in an extended stay hotel because I'd said no. The volunteers would chat about their grandkids' little leagues, dance recitals, first lost teeth, and I'd smile politely, nodding along, never mentioning that mine hadn't spoken tome in months. Afternoons were for Vigordon. George and I had planted those rose bushes together the year Sarah started kindergarten. I'd kept them alive through droughts, freezes, and my ungrief. Now I've pruned them with surgical precision, talking to them the way some people talk to pets. You understand boundaries, don't you? I'd mutter while deadheading spent blooms. You don't let just anyone trample through your soil. Evenings were the hardest. That's when the house felt its emptiest. I'd cook single portions chicken breasts with roasted okra, or a small pot of pinto beans indeed at the kitchen table with the TV on low. Usually it was reruns of Yellowstone or Friday Night Lights. Something with wide Texas skies, untough family dynamics that made my own drama feel almost normal. But some nights I'd turn it off and just sit in the silence, listening to the clock titch-keying the hallway. Sarah's Christmas card sat on the mantelpiece like an accusation. Just a generic Hallmark thing with a snowy cabin and the printed message piece on Earth. Inside, in her neat teacher handwriting, "Miss you. Thinking of you. Love, Sarah, Mike, Tommy, and Lily." No phone number, no invitation, no apology. Just those 4 words that could mean everything or nothing. I read it 100 times, searching for subtext. Was miss you genuine longing or polite obligation? Was thinking of you warmth or resentment? I finally tucked it behind Georgia's Old Navy photo so I wouldn't have to look at it every day. January bled into February. Texas winter mild days, occasional hard freezes. The bluebonnets started pushing through the soil along highway medians, promising spring. I joined a new book club at the library, mostly women my age, reading Southern fiction and drinking sweet tea. We discussed the secret life of bees and where the crawdads sing books about women finding strength in solitude. The journey continued. One Thursday in late February, I was at the farmer's market again, the same one where this whole misad indirectly started when my phone buzzed in my purse. Unknown number, Dallas area code. My heart did that stupid, hopeful flip it always did when an unfamiliar number called. "Hello, Mom." Sarah's voice, smaller than I remembered. I stopped dead between Honeystall and the tamale lady. "Sarah?" A long pause. I could hear kids laughing in the background, Tommy and Lily, unmistakable. We got your Christmas card. Thank you." I waited. Southern women air good at waiting. "We're okay," she continued. Mike started a new job, contract work, but steady. We found a little rental house in Frisco. Nothing fancy, but it's ours. "I'm glad," I said, and minted another pause. "The kids keep asking when they can see Grandma's roses. Lily drew you a picture of whiskers. It's pretty accurate, actually." Smiled despite myself. "I'd love to see it." "Mom, her voice cracked. "I've been thinking a lot." "About what you said?" "About boundaries and respect and everything." I leaned against a hay bale display, clutching a bunch of kale like a lifeline. I was so angry, she went on. "I felt abandoned, betrayed, like you chose your house over your own daughter and grandbabies. Mike and I fought about it constantly. He thought I should just apologize and move on. I couldn't. I stayed quiet. But then I started therapy through his new job's insurance. And Mom, I've been carrying so much anger, not just at you. At Dad for leaving when I was little. At the economy. At myself for not having savings. At you for always being the strong one, the one who fixed everything. I think I hated that I needed you, Because needing you reminded me of all the times I felt powerless as a kid. My throat tightened. I took you for granted, she whispered. We both did. Mike, too. We saw your house as Thefamoli's safety net. Like it was your job to catch us when we fell. And when you didn't, I didn't know how to handle it. Sarah, please let me finish. I've practiced this speech in my head 1,000 times. A watery laugh. Mithropist says I have attachment issues. Anxious avoidant or something. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for showing up with boxes, like I owned a place. Sorry for making you the villain when you were just protecting yourself. Sorry for all the years I only called when I needed something, babysitting, money, advice, whatever. Tears blurred the market around me. The tamale lady gave me a concerned look. I don't expect forgiveness right away, Sarah continued. I know I hurt you, but I want Totri, if you'll let me. Maybe lunch. Just us. No kids, no Mike. Neutral ground. I wiped my eyes with the sleeve of my denim jacket. I'd like that. We set a date Saturday, March 15th, at a little cafe in downtown Plano called the Biscuit Bar. Known for chicken biscuits and strong coffee. The week leading up felt like waiting for a verdict. I changed outfits 4 times the morning phenylicetine on my favorite turquoise blouse and jeans. The ones George always said brought out my eyes. I arrived 15 minutes early and sat at a corner table, hands wrapped around a coffee mug for warmth. Sarah walked in right on time, looking thinner than I remembered. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup except mascara. She wore a UT Austin hoodie, my alma mater too, and looked heartbreakingly young. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. We ordered chicken biscuits for both of us, a habit we'd shared since she was little, and then just sat. The weight of months between us. She spoke first. I've brought something. She pulled a folded piece of construction paper from her. Lily's drawing a lopsided orange cat with whiskers and a speech, Bubble saying meow, Grandma. I laughed through fresh tears. It's perfect. We talked for 3 hours. Really talked. Not the surface stuff, weather, kids, schools, Mike's job, but the deep stuff. She told me about her therapy sessions, how she'd realized she'd been repeating patterns, expecting others to rescue her the why always had. I told her about my own quiet realizations, how I taught her dependence by never saying no, how George's death had left me terrified off bung needed by no one. I was proud of being strong one, I admitted. The fixer, but it cost me. I disappeared in a fat roll. Sarah reached across Thataball and took my hand. I see you now, Mom, not just as Grandma or the safety net, as Evelyn. As a woman who deserves her own life. We cried in the biscuit bar like a couple of fools. And the waitress brought extra napkins without comment. It wasn't fixed, not completely. There were still tender spots mentions of the eviction notice, the modal weeks, the things said in anger. But it was a beginning, a real one. Spring arrived in North Texas with its usual drama tornado watches. Wild thunderstorms, then sudden explosions of wildflowers. My roses went berserk, heavy with blooms in shades of coral and yellow. I spent hours deadheading and fertilizing, talking to them about forgiveness and second chances. Sarah and I started meeting every other Saturdays, sometimes just coffee. Sometimes lunch, once a walk around Arbor Hills Nature Preserve. We kept it to the two of us at first, no pressure from family dynamics. Slowly, carefully, we're built. She told me about their new rental, a 3-bedroom in Frisco with a tiny backyard and creaky floors. Butt hairs. Mike was contracting for a startup, decent money, but no benefits yet. They were budgeting fiercely, paying down debt. Tommy had started soccer. Lily was obsessed with Taylor Swift. I told her about my own small adventures. I'd signed up for a senior tour to the Grand Canyon in Mesa. George and I had always talked about, but never done. I joined a watercolor class at the community center and produced some truly terrible paintings of bluebonnets. I'd even gone on a data widower named Harold Framchurch, who took me to dinner at Papado and talked exclusively about High Slate Wife's meatloaf recipe. We laughed about that one for weeks. One Saturday in April, Sarah asked, "Would you come see the new house? The kids really want to show you their rooms." I hesitated. The last time I'd been in a space they occupied uninvited. "Just for an hour," shedded quickly. "And if it's too much, you can leave any time." No offense taken. Went. The house was modest beige carpet, popcorn ceilings, the kind of place young families start in Texas, but they'd made it theirs. Kids' artwork on the fridge. Mike's Longhorns memorabilia in the living room. Sarah's plants thriving on every windowsill. Tommy tackled me at Theodore. "Grandma, look at my Fortnite dance." Lily dragged me to her room to show her Taylor Swift poster collection. Mike hung back at first. Awkward. Finally, he approached while I was admiring their tiny herb garden. "Evelyn, I owe you an apology too. I should have insisted we call first. I went along with Sarah's plan because it was easier. And that wasn't fair to you." "Thank you. Mike, that means a lot." We didn't hug, it wasn't that kind of moment, but we nodded. A quiet understanding passing between us. Summer brought heat and progress. I took my Grand Canyon trip 10 days on a bus with other seniors, staring into that vast red gorge until I felt small and huge at the same time. I sent Sarah postcards every day. She sent back photos of the kids at the Frisco water park. By July, we'd settled into a new rhythm. They came to my house for Sunday dinner, once a month, planned in advance, always. I went to Tommy's soccer games when I could. We celebrated Lily's 6th birthday at a local park. Sarah asked permission to use my good picnic basket, and I brought it gladly. The big test came in August. Mike's contract ended unexpectedly, another tech shakeup. They were tight on rent again. Sarah called me one evening, voice careful. "Mom, we're in a pinch. The new job starts in 3 weeks, but we're short for September rent." I hate to ask, Sarah. I cut her off gently. "You're asking?" "That's different." Long pause. "Would Yahweh willing to help?" "Not move in just alone until Mike's first paycheck." We talked numbers. I could cover half without touching my savings cushion. I wrote the check, but with clear terms. Repayment plan, interest-free, starting October. "Thank you," she said, tearful. "And if you'd ever said no, I would have understood." That was the moment I knew we'd made it to the other side. Asterisk fall again. A year since the suitcases in my living room. I turned 67 in October. Sarah threw me a small party at their Frisco house barbecue from Rudy's. My favorite German chocolate cake from Nothing Bundt Cakes. Just family and Marlene and Betty. The kids made a banner. "Happy 67th Grandma Evelyn. Best boundary setter ever." We laughed until we cried. Mike had gone permanent at his company, full benefits. 401k, the works. They were saving for a down payment on a real house. Sarah had started substitute teaching, rediscovering her love for kids that weren't hers. We took a family trip together in November, Thanksgiving week, at a cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Might treat planned 6 months in advance. We hiked, made s'mores, played board games. There were still moments Mike instinctively reaching for my TV remote, for catching himself and asking. Sarah starting to complain about my thermostat setting before stopping with a sheepish, "Sorry," old habit. But we navigated them with humor and grace. One night by the fire, Sarah leaned against me on the porch swing. "Mom, do you ever regret it? That day you made us leave." I thought long and hard. The ache was still there, sometimes the memory of their hurt faces, the months off silence, the fear I'd lost them forever. "Regret's the wrong word," I said finally. "It hurt like hell, but I don't regret choosing my self-thought day, because it forced us, all of us, to grow. You learned to stand stronger. I learned to stop disappearing, and look at us now." She squeezed my hand. "We're better. Yes, we're better." Christmas that year was sought, my house planned, asked for, joyfully given. They arrived with Casarilla sans presents and respect. The kids slept over in the guest room that had once held their uninvited boxes. We decorated my tree together, singing off-key to George's old Johnny Mathis record as I watched them. Tommy hanging ornaments with intense concentration, Lily dancing around in her elf pajamas, Sarah and Mike laughing in the kitchen over burnt cookies. I felt something settle deep in my bones, not peace, not the absence of conflict, but the presence of boundaries honored, love given freely, no extracted, respect flowing both ways. I caught Sarah's eye across the room. She smiled, the real one, the one that reached her eyes and mouthed, "Thank you." I mouthed back, "Thank you." Because we'd both learned the hardest, most American lesson of all, that real strength isn't in ever needing help. It's in asking respectfully when you do, on in having the courage to say no when you must. My roses bloomed that winter. Mild Texas weather tricking them into thinking spring had come early. I seed a bouquet and brought it to George's grave, telling him everything. Then I went home to my quiet house that was no longer empty, not because it was filled with people, but because it was filled with me. Evelyn Thompson. Woman, mother, grandmother, boundary setter, rose grower, life-liver. Finally, fully mine. And that, my friends, is peace I found. If this story to shed you, give it a like so we can see how many of us are learning to choose yourselves without losing love. Drop a comment where. Are you reading from and what time is it there? Thank you for spending this time with me. For more real-life journeys of courage and healing, check the other stories on screen now. Click in and keep listening. Love y'all.